Middle school is one of the most emotionally intense and confusing stages of adolescence. Students are navigating rapid physical changes, shifting friendships, academic pressure, and a growing awareness of how they're perceived by others. At the same time, they're experiencing emotions that are stronger and more complex than ever before. Yet, despite all of this, most middle school students receive little to no instruction on how to understand what they're feeling or how to cope in healthy ways. Across the country, rates of anxiety, depression, and emotional distress among young adolescents continues to rise. We talk about mental health more openly than we used to, but talking alone has not stopped the problem from getting worse. Instead, many students are expected to figure it out on their own during one of the most vulnerable periods of their development. Today, I'm going to explain the problems created by this lack of mental health education and show how a required course can directly give students the tools they need. First, I'll explain the mental health problems adolescents are facing today. Middle school students are experiencing a rapidly worsening mental health crisis, revealing serious consequences created by the lack of mental health education during a critical developmental period. The first problem is that the mental health issues among adolescents are increasing at alarming rates. In Jonathan Haidt's The Anxious Generation, rates of teen depression are reported to have increased by approximately 145 to 161% since 2010, one of the sharpest rises ever recorded. This graph shows suicide rates among U.S. adolescents aged 10 to 14 using data from the Centers for Disease Control. What's especially concerning is the sharp increase beginning in the early 2010s. Since that time, suicide rates have increased by approximately 91% among boys and 167% among girls in this age group. These are not late teen or young adult numbers. This data reflects children in middle school. In today's environment, adolescents are facing constant social comparison, online scrutiny, and academic pressure, while their emotional regulation skills and sense of identity are still developing. This graph makes it clear that emotional distress among young adolescents is becoming more common, not less. The second problem is that middle school is a critical window for prevention, yet many students are not learning the coping skills that they need during this stage. Research shows that mental health struggles begin earlier than many people realize. The CDC reports that anxiety and behavioral disorders rise sharply between the ages of 6 and 11. Similarly, the National Institutes of Health report that the median age of onset for anxiety disorders is 11 years old. Despite this, the National Institutes of Health also found that over 83% of students lack adequate understanding of mental health. During middle school, students experience more complex emotions and social pressures, yet many don't have the skills to identify, understand, or regulate what they're feeling. And because mental health education isn't consistently required, access depends largely on where a student lives. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, only 19 states require mental health education in grades K through 12. As a result, whether a student learns coping strategies depends on their district or school rather than a consistent standard. Now that I've explained the problem, I'll explain the solution. A federally mandated semester-long mental health education course would give middle school students the practical skills they need to understand and care for their mental health. First, a mental health course will teach students the skills they are currently expected to figure out on their own. This next graph shows the effect of a mental health curriculum on students' mental health knowledge. According to a randomized control study published by the National Library of Medicine, researchers examined what happens when mental health is taught in the classroom. This figure compares mental health knowledge before and after the curriculum. On the left, the control group remains almost unchanged, meaning students who did not receive the curriculum showed little to no improvement. On the right, the intervention group shows a sharp increase after the curriculum is introduced. This goes beyond raising awareness. This data shows that when mental health is taught directly, students gain concrete knowledge, the kind that helps them recognize mental health concerns, reduce stigma, and know when and where to seek help. Second, teaching these skills during middle school ensures that students receive support at the exact age when mental health struggles typically begin. Students who received mental health education during early adolescence showed increased help-seeking behavior and reduced stigma, both of which are linked to earlier intervention and better long-term outcomes. Importantly, this curriculum was delivered by regular classroom teachers and successfully integrated into existing school schedules, showing that mental health education is not only effective, but feasible at the middle school level. When we look at both the problem and the evidence, the path forward becomes clear. Middle school students are facing a growing mental health crisis at a time when guidance matters most, yet many are expected to manage overwhelming emotions without the knowledge or skills to do so. Mental health struggles often begin during early adolescence, and without structured education, students are left confused, unsupported, and unsure of how to ask for help. A required semester-long mental health education course offers a clear and evidence-based solution. Research shows that when students are taught about mental health in the classroom, they gain knowledge, reduce stigma, and become more willing to seek help early. These skills are not intuitive, they must be taught. By supporting a federally mandated mental health curriculum in middle schools, we can ensure that all students, regardless of where they live, receive the tools they need during the critical stage of development. If we want healthier, more resilient adolescents, we must move beyond awareness and commit to education.